Ladies and gentlemen, dear clients, dear partners, dear viewers, welcome to this edition of Blackfort's Market Overview. My name is Vanja Eichel. I'm a managing partner of Blackfort's investment business here in Zurich, Switzerland, and with me is Andreas Bickel, the Chief Investment Officer of Blackfort. We are in a very interesting market environment. During this summer, we have seen new record highs in markets within different equity markets. I mean, how many new record highs have we now seen this year, Andreas?
Actually, I lost counting. Last week we stood at 53 times for the S&P 500. In the meantime, we had at least two more, so at least 55 times. However, maybe more interesting is that in Europe, the DAX and the Swiss SMI have just over the last 2 weeks, for the first time since 2008, broken out of this trading range, and both have marked a new record level.
So new record highs. But what are actually the biggest surprises in last trading sessions now, if you look at the last days and weeks for you, Andreas?
For me, actually, was the European high-yield corporate bond market, because for the first time in history, we do see that yields, after adjusting for inflation, are negative for junk bonds. And that is amazing. So you buy something which we used to call junk, and you'd get not even rewarded for it. So you lose money if you buy such products.
This is actually the situation that is further and further making it more difficult for investors where to hide and where to head in this investment environment of negative interest rates. As Andreas just mentioned, in the meanwhile, we need to go further down to not investment grade, and even now high yield is actually giving you negative yields. Now also, if we look at the last days, the uncertainty in markets actually has a little bit increased again, like after this new records high that we mentioned before. What would you say, would seasonality suggest for the next weeks and months?
If seasonality plays out like the average return since roughly 200 years measured, you would expect now a negative month. Actually, September, not October, is the worst month of the year, followed by May and February. And in this context, May and February are similar with minus 0.5, maybe a bit better, but September is by far the worst month with -1. However, at the moment we do see actually the opposite. We have seen recent record levels even now in September.
And what would you say? I mean, if I talk with clients, it still seems the whole environment is very fragile. Even me myself, I feel like there's some little news could actually make the whole thing turn around. And what would you say? I mean, we have seen labor market data that was still okay, but not that convincing as some may have expected. We have again fears regarding to the increasing number of corona cases. How would you say could this news impact the market developments?
So if I look at Europe, it is like you have just mentioned, there's fears and security. However, if I look at the US and over the last 2-3 days also to China A shares, we do see an interesting phenomenon. Bad news have become good news. It started with the Jackson Hole meeting, where the assessment was of a weaker economy, of a dovish outlook that is positive, but at the same time it was said that the interest rate will rise maybe only in 2023, and the intonation was on only, and therefore bad news is at the moment good news. And last but not least, different to Europe, in the US, the retail investor is buying the dip, and this has a positive sentiment, similar to what has happened in China overnight, where we have seen as well retail investors stepping in and buying the prices, which opened sharply down, and we closed basically flat.
Thank you very much for these valuable elaborations. We are in a very interesting market environment with a lot of developments going on. Thank you very much for these insights. And actually, if you want to have more and more frequent information, especially of Dr. Bickel, he also has his Telegram channel. Maybe you want to say some words about that?
Yeah, please feel free to join us on Telegram. The channel is called Dr. Bickel Knows Best. There I cover actual daily events which impact market movements, like for instance today the story I've just told you about the negative yielding high yield market in Europe.
Thank you very much, and dear viewers, thank you very much for being with us today. See you next time, and goodbye.
Thank you.